everyone. It's the beginning of the year and everyone is setting resolutions. Well, not everyone, I'm not, because I hate them, don't believe in them. But I do believe in goals, I do believe in intentions, and I do believe in learning and making progress towards being my best self, or better self for now, best self at one point. So because a lot of people have this kind of, goal-orientedness on their mind right now, I thought that I would share something that was helpful for me to think through the things that I want to achieve and that matter to me. And what better way to do that than with a framework? I actually have a blog post I wrote about this a couple months ago, but it keeps popping up. So here we are. Anyway, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You may have heard about it in psychology class. If you're a coach, you learned about it. If you are a psychologist or psychiatrist, you know a lot about it. So please add comments and whatnot to tell me if I'm doing anything wrong. But this is going to be my kind of guide of how I understand this and use this, and how I think it can help you, lovely viewer, in figuring out your goals. So, what is this guy? So Maslow's hierarchy of needs is part of the theory of human motivation. I can't say that word very well. Human motivation. Okay. It's this framework that Mr. Malsow developed. It has many, many flaws, which you can Google yourself. I'm not going to go into that because, again, I'm not an expert. But it's a nice way to kind of think about how the stuff that we need in life to function as humans, how it kind of relates to each other. So Maslow's theory was basically that there are these 5 levels of needs, and in order to fulfill the layer above, you need to fulfill the layer below. So if your basic physiological needs are not fulfilled, Maslow posited that you won't be able to fulfill your safety needs. I don't necessarily agree with that, but because I'm a walking proof of that. It's possible, but as a general framework, it's okay. So just bear with me. So I'll go through it in a second, but there are these 5 needs, and the theory goes that you need to fulfill them one before you can fulfill the next. And they kind of separate into 2 areas, where in the first 4 needs, it's being deficient in one of them. So I don't have enough blah, versus in the last need, the self-actualization, lots of tongue twisters for me today, that's a growth need. So it's adding things on top of versus fulfilling things you don't already have. Hope that makes sense. So what are these needs? First and foremost, you need to fulfill your physiological needs, which I think all of us should agree that those are pretty freaking important in order to do anything else. And those are things such as air, water, food, shelter, sleep. So all the basics, so that you can, this sack of meat and bones can function. After that, it's your safety needs. So things like your job, your health, property, so ownership of things. After that, we have love and belonging, and that includes intimacy, sense of connection. So this is where community lives. Depending on the person, a lot of times this is where perhaps religion lives, because religion, for many people, is kind of what connects us to other people around us. And I'm eating my own hair, forgive me. I'm in the awkward stage of regrowth of my hair. After love and belonging, we have the esteem needs, and those are things like status and freedom and respect. So these are the things that you may not have enough of. So deficiency needs. Then everything above that is a growth need, which is the self-actualization or fulfillment. So contribution to the world. What is my legacy? That kind of stuff. So how do I use this? There's a lot of times that we talk about, things we want to achieve. I want to lose weight. I want to be rich. All the different things. As you're setting these kinds of goals and thinking about those goals for yourself, I think first and foremost refer to the levels and just kind of suss out where do those phrases live. So both of the ones I said actually sound like physiological needs, right? So I want to lose weight. I want to, well, rich maybe is up here, but I want to lose weight because that's something I'm going through right now. I'm actually very resentful that the camera adds 10 pounds or whatever, and it does because I just checked. I lost like 20 pounds in the past 2 months and it's not showing, so I'm pissed. But anyway, losing weight is technically one of my goals. However, that's just on the surface. When I think about why do I want to lose weight, there are those kind of narcissistic, superficial things that are motivating me. Like, I just want to look better, right? So maybe that's actually kind of, I would say maybe even in status, right? Like I want people to think of me as a fit and attractive person. That's not my motivation. I'm just saying that's one of the things I'm trying to, relate to people's goals. I'm not purely selfish. Anyway, but I do want to look better. So let's pretend that that's where it is. I personally have zero interest in getting married. So don't take this verbatim, but I could pretend that the reason I want to lose weight is to attract a mate because I want to fulfill the need of intimacy and sense of connection with a spouse, right? That's possible. For me personally, it's mostly around health. So I won't go into that because it's quite convoluted, but long story short, over the last few years, I've gained, I think it's 45 pounds. We ended up at 45? No, like 50, Jesus. Anyway, I gained a lot of weight and it was, slowly until my blood pressure was through the roof, lots of other health started happening. So in order for me to be healthy and just literally go back to the status quo of where I'm fulfilling my basic need of being healthy, I need to lose weight. So when I think about that goal, I'm going to frame it for myself specifically around health, even though I know that there are some things potentially on all the levels that this particular goal might be being driven by. So that's how I encourage you to look at your goals, because once you understand what actually is the motivation behind the thing that you're saying, what are those words that are not said, but as you start thinking about it, like how would you describe this goal? I think it'll give you a bit more clarity as to what you're actually trying to achieve. Maybe losing weight is 100% for you about finding a spouse. And you know what? That's awesome. But then once you have that realization that it's about finding a spouse, you can break down that goal. Like, is it really about losing weight? Like, is me losing weight going to magically have Prince Charming appear? Probably not. And if it is, what kind of person is that attracted to you or me, whatever, because I lost weight? Like, maybe think about that a little bit. So whatever it is, you'll be able to, I think, truly understand it and then perhaps tweak the goal to actually mean what you want it to mean. So forget losing weight. If it happens, great. No, my real goal is to get a boyfriend. Okay, well, now that I have that self-realization that that's really what's motivating me, I can start thinking about what are the steps that I can take to get me there. And this is kind of where a self-coaching process can really help you, which I'll do a video on some other time. And where working with a coach can really help you, because that's literally what coaching is about. Not coaches, but coaching. Whether you're working with somebody or by yourself, on yourself, it's all about kind of understanding what is that goal, what are the steps that can possibly get you there, what's standing in your way, kind of exploring that, and then making an action plan to make it happen. But what's really cool about all this is that it all resides with you. This is all internal. And I think what kind of looking at your goals using a framework like this and kind of breaking them down, what it does is it gives you control. It gives you, I think, for me at least, a sense of being able to make the decisions that you need to make versus, I don't know, riding a bandwagon, doing what your family wants you to do, what you perceive that society wants you to do. Like, who cares? Like, this is a way to gain back control over your own thoughts and your own actions in a way that I think leads to growth. Hey, growth, self-actualization. So yeah, I hope you use this framework. I hope that this is helpful. If this video is helpful, like it and subscribe and do all the YouTube things. I definitely need to think through a few of my goals, not resolutions, and nothing to do with New Year, but just overall like life goals for my next incarnation. Because I had a cool realization a few weeks ago that I reinvent myself every 5 years. I didn't plan it that way, but it happens. So I'm due for a reinvention. So I'm currently thinking about my goals and my motivations to make sure that my goals align. And I'll link to my blog post below in the notes. But in the blog post, you'll read about kind of where in general in life I'm sitting right now. And yeah, I do have, I've got a few problems in both of these and the basic needs, right? So if this theory was completely amazing and true, what would happen is that until I fill all my physiological needs, I will not be able to be, like, that's my motivation for everything, right? That's what Maslow would say. And only once those needs are filled would my motivation turn to fulfilling my safety needs around, you know, job, health, and property, etc. But for me, currently, I feel like I'm doing pretty well on a lot of these, but like I'm sucking at a couple of these pretty badly. So I'm still here, and I think I'm making smart decisions with my life. So sorry, Maslow, but framework is nice, but you're not exactly perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna work on these, and I'm going to fulfill the few needs that I'm missing, but they are not my sole motivation by any means. They are just one part of a puzzle, because what else are humans than sacks of meat and bones that are very puzzling to understand, right? But it's helped me, so I hope it helps you. And if you have any comments or questions, please leave them, and I will answer them to best of my ability. And if I can't, I will find some experts, because what's really cool about my current job is that I've met a lot of really, really smart people who think about this stuff all the time, and they actually know what they're doing. Thanks for watching.